chests around. On Infernal Shrines, like you did mention, it is a 1 map advantage to Crimson because they progressed through that winner's bracket. Outlaws, they're pushing a boulder up a hill. They need to get 2 on the trot to come out as victors. But without further ado, ladies and gents, I'm going to pass you back over to your casters, the OG duo, Skimmy and Vandy, to take you through this series of Crimson versus Outlaws.
Here we are, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us to the very end. We are now at the business end of this one, the grand finals, as Kit Fox mentions, with a 1-0 lead for the Crimson lads. They'll definitely be looking for a quick, easy win on this map here. Infernal Shrines, the go-to map globally for such a long time. Interesting to see that this is the first time on stream tonight, Vandy, for 2018.
It really, really is, and I'm very excited. Love this map. Just like you were saying, give me Dragon Char. I was just saying, give me Infernal Shrines. I just find this map so enjoyable to watch. And, I mean, because it combines the objective with teamfighting in a nice, very, very nice way. The John Cena Infernals, like the Punisher, sorry, they just, so enjoyable to watch what teams do with them.
When they jump across and, slam you into the ground, you think, well...
You hear the
John Cena comes on in with the slam and breaks it all on down.
Yep.
Halloween, eat your heart out. That is the sweaty Greymane looking for that hack and slash, looking for the one shot. And if that's what's going to net them the win here, well, we know what the old boys of Outlaws have got up their sleeve. Not too scared of the old Greymane.
No, they aren't. And once again, it doesn't really give much away from draft. Even the bans, it's been quite consistent. That Genji followed by ETC, both of them saying we don't want to see these heroes being played. Their, I guess, potential to disrupt our plans is just too high. So we're just taking them out of the game completely.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many different options you can go for this one so far. We've seen a lot of ETC. Obviously, him being banned away would then lend a hand to the likes of a Diablo, but
yeah,
Diablo taken off the board as well. Johanna's being flexed across, and for the most part, we know that Iceball only has one switch in his head, and that is go, 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 straight Chinese aggression. So we're not going to see any passive plays out of him. Yes, the Greyman will be diving on you, but he wants to do the exact same to them. So with 3 seconds left on the clock, what is it going to be? Not going to show too much. It's just Gondo all day, every day on that Sonya. He's warmed up and he's ready to go with a strong, strong early game.
Yeah, he's been pretty happy with his performance on that hero, and I mean, it's quite warranted. We've seen him just be a dominating force in pushing the lane, and like I said, just making those plays happen. He knows how to command this hero very, very well to get the maximum out of her. And then Lucio, we've seen some great sound barriers today by very many players, like a range of support players, just showing us the strength that Lucio brings. It's nice to see him back. I mean, he fell out a little bit. He was nerfed a little bit too much, so Blizzard, they gave him a little bit more, bit of a reworking, bit of love, and now it's great to see that he's found his place, especially with that double support nerf happening. So Lucio now finally able to dish out as much healing as his team requires.
Yeah, I personally love Lucio. Just such an all-round fantastic support. It just feels fun.
He is fun.
I don't know. There's something addictive about the ability to just boost around the map and feel like you're doing so much but so little.
Yeah, it's why I like playing it. I'm like, I'm happy. It's great.
Like Will Ferrell in the background because I'm happy.
I mean, you've got those roller skates on. You're just boosting around. He's got this little smiley face with the frog skin. Like, what more do you want? And then you get to break it down. Like, it's great. It looks as though Diablo is not going to be picked up by these guys, or they want to stop Crimson from picking up the Diablo because they weren't able to do so. He's very, very strongly in Fertile Shrine. That's why you and myself were mentioning him.
Yeah, I mean, KBA is known to definitely be played at Diablo as well, so don't discount him from being a reliable and smart ban. But in terms of where they decide to go with this one, what are they scared of the most? For the most part, Outlaws, they've had weak early games, but they've always managed to bring it back with a strong team fight. Now, I was thinking on the side of Crimson, they themselves would want to ban away the Arthas, but in the end, given that Outlaws are the next ones with the pick, they actually decide to ban Arthas away themselves.
It really, really does. I'm just looking at Malfurion skin. It's one of the new Wintervale ones, looking slick. That Li Ming I do like. I mean, there used to be that old contestation skin. We used to always bring it up. People say she's not that great on this map. Too many minions blocking the skill shots. But a lot of the fights actually happen outside, and then you get on the shrine point after you've won the team fight. Not a lot of the fighting generally breaks up. It's just a lot of poking that happens. So Li Ming's still very viable, but she'll rely a little bit more on the Greymane to soften up the targets before she wants to go in.
Here they go. They decide to, in the end, to stick to their hearts. Double bans all towards Icebolt. Really trying to, I suppose, not choke him out, but really force him to be put in a situation where he's not as comfortable per se. And they're feeling that that is going to be the strategy to win out the series, is to force him onto a hero that he's not entirely the best on, and then just basically dismantle the rest of Outlaws from there. They've already done it so far tonight. They're looking for the double repeat, whereas the Outlaws, they need to win 2 games back-to-back to secure themselves the very first victory as an organization for 2018.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard task, but I mean, don't count them down and out, as Outlaws have shown us all day. Just when things look like they're about to go south, they manage to turn it right around. I think that's one of the strengths of this team. They keep their calm, and it almost reminds me of that Nomiya. Remember the old days of Nomiya where we're like, well, we can see that they're definitely going to sacrifice a couple of objectives. It might be down a kill or 2, but they had their sights set on at level 10. Like, they know what they need to do to be able to stay in the game, and more importantly, to be able to win the game.
Classic Nazebo. See, the thing with this is, I like the Toad build on this map a lot, because you know that the Punisher's going to come towards you. You know you're going to get a lot of value with teams deciding to try and pile on in. The only catch with that is, generally speaking, this map doesn't really go to late game like we saw in Curse Solid, where you managed to smash out 200 stacks by like the level 17 mark.
Yeah.
So I'm just concerned that, you know, they got a comp which, for the most part, the first 3 picks anyway, are looking for aggression. They want to force a fight. Nazebo is going to be basically off in the sideline, you'd imagine, just wanting to soak.
Nazebo, Lahal, he's shown us. I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about the Nazebo again. We were like, Nazebo in 2018. I mean, I've always respected Lahal's Nazebo, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like with the specialist, I mean, if you want to go Nazebo, I feel like Sylvanas kind of fulfills a role that he's trying to bring. She's got a bit of that utility. She also can push very well with the minions if you do win an objective, and then you don't really have to wait for the late game to be able to reap her potential. That's just kind of, I think, what the point we were trying to make a bit earlier. So you do have your work cut out for you, but the damage that Nazebo can deal over Sylvanas, definitely, it's like comparing apples and oranges, isn't it?
It really is. It's definitely, in my opinion, right now, favouring the side of Crimson for the fact that Anubrak has been locked on in. I actually wrote a little rap about that earlier today, but I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna meme it right now here. I'm not gonna read it out like it's a child story. I'm gonna post it in the chat so you guys can definitely get your copy passes instead. But Ragnaros is locked on in, definitely a denial towards Gondo, meaning that if they do win out those Punishers, they will have the Molten Core ready to boot at the backside as well. Final pick is the Xayah, which is just pseudo Tassadar in a tanking format. So many different builds that she can go nowadays. Grenadier used to be the go-to, but definitely the Feel the Heat has found a lot of love recently. But against what they have, 1, 2, potentially 3 melee, I would still probably favour the Grenadier to act as your backline ranged. Yeah, definitely would. But I mean, Zarya is a very interesting one. Haven't really seen her being picked all that much. She's very much situational. But if you can get people caught in those chokes, that's where she can really shine, as well as those clutch saves coming out. Not shaves. No razors here. Shades. I mean, Lucio's wearing some sweaty shades. He's got his gunners on there going for that sponsorship.
Definitely. I mean, we've got to have some of that. But I really do like that pick by Jesmers on that Ragnaros. I think it's going to be very, very solid. Just as almost that insurance policy. If you were to lose the objective, you can really mitigate a lot of what the Punisher is able to bring in terms of that siege damage on your structures. So he makes it very difficult. So we were saying we might not be able to see Nazebo hit that late game, but with Ragnaros, his stalling power, it can do quite well. So either teams would be looking to get another clean, decisive victory.
Here we are. It's the grand finals with a 1-0 lead currently to Crimson on the right-hand side. This is the pre-trainer to the preseason for 2018 in the ANZ region at that. And let's introduce the team currently with that 1-0 advantage. It is Old Tivian, team captain on Leeming, the Shadow player Malfurion, Azure on Greymane, Jesmes on Ragnaros, KVA on Anubrak.
And on the blue, we've got Outlaws with Lahal on Nazebo, Coffee playing Zarya, Pandemonium on Lucio, Icebolt on Johanna, and Gondo playing Sonya.
We have to dictate and sort of understand the mentality behind this one. Feel the Heat has actually been locked on here. So I'm going to go decide for that backline ability, more so for when those fights do decide to break on out. Toad build, as you'd imagine, the shotgun pumping with some spiders and everything else thrown at you. It's like an SJW getting upset about wildlife being taken from the forest. He's going to be definitely looking to try and cause a ruckus. Get Twitch chat angry.
Getting them angry. We need some rescuing happening out here. All the pokes coming out with the rotation. Icebolt, he's dropping the shield. Finally needing to pop that Iron Skin, but he was in a bit of a pickle there. Even Coffee's shield, not enough. However, what that's netted Coffee is so much energy.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be looking to minion wave. So I'm just interested to see how he decides to play the swap, because like you say, trying to feel the heat is all about that close quarter combat. He's going to be definitely that big battery to empower the likes of the Sonya, because you've seen what Gondo's done in the series so far with that hero. And they'll be looking to make sure that they put a lot of resources into him to do it once again. Make sure they have a strong enough early game to allow Lahal to be that beast in the mid to late game.
Oh, there's Lucio Skimmy. Better get that sponsorship, get that ad going. The nutrients are there, ready. Panda's saying she's eaten her fix. She's ready to rock and roll. That bottom siege camp now, the Khazra camp being picked up, so that'll just help push back on Crimson. But Lahal is very low. He doesn't have any mana, but that speed boost from Pandemonium, not enough, because the Arcane Orb was great. The prediction from Ultivian.
He actually sidestepped back into it, going for the greedy stacks on those toads before he went back to base, and it paid with his life. I'm sure Panda right next to him is screaming, saying, "Not like this!
I got you out, and this is how you repay me?" No. Definitely just feels bad for Panda's efforts right there. But it doesn't matter, it's still early game. So these kills are not going to start to stack up. You can afford 1 or 2, but then after that, once the first objective spawns, you really want to keep that to a minimum.
Absolutely. Absolutely indeed. And the first shrine won't be too far away from us right now with the lead. Sizable? Not really. It's quite minimal at this stage. A 1-0 kill. First blood. You're going to find that shrine is spawning in the bottom section of the map. The most exposed one here, making it the easiest to try and aggress on.
Well,
So I argue that surely Ragnaros, if he can time out his Molten Core well, should give him that victory.
he really, really should. I mean, he can just provide that long-range artillery barrage, if you will. But I like this by Crimson as well, just taking the camps, utilizing them. As long as they march off to the mid lane, that's additional pressure now, forcing Lahal to just take a couple more extra seconds to wave clear before getting on the objective. And this is going to be a frozen Punisher that they're going to be fighting for. So arguably one of the better ones that you want in the early game stages.
Yeah, the Frozen Punisher definitely is a menace to deal with, especially if the competition you're up against is all about diving on in. They are very zoned and unable to really achieve too much. The laser one, the Arcane at that, is usually our go-to because it just provides even more zone.
Yep.
The Magma one, for the most part, he's spitting out rain.
I mean, he helps with the siege, but in terms of the damage that he dishes out, it's very easily sidestepped by the others, whereas, you know, with the Arcane and the Frozen Punisher, it's a lot harder to deal with. So I definitely agree. Mortar is probably the least wanted, especially as this Punisher, the early game ones, they drop quite quickly. They don't have a large health pool, so you want to be able to maximize based off the trait that they provide.
That's the commitment that we're after, and that's going to allow them to absolutely establish this one for sure. The zone that comes out of the Molten Core ensures that they collapse on it. And, well, Gondo really said, hey, we have no intention to whatsoever contesting this one. Like we said, this is our game plan. I want to try and survive as much as early game as possible, really allow Nazeebo to start to unlock his fullest potential. It's going to force the rotation out here by Azure, and this is a common strategy with the first Punishers, because they're not meant to actually achieve too much. You want to try and keep that same soak sustain up as well by splitting up your team 3, 1, and 1, and really bringing home the bacon.
Yep, Crimson breaking out that sidewall as well. What it allows him to do is it gives Ultivian just a little small window that he can then thread his skill shots through, provide a little bit of poke, a little bit of almost a nuisance, if you will, on the side of Outlaws trying to clear out that Punisher. So very, very smart. It also meant that they wouldn't get stuck. Like, you don't have to be against the front gates because you can't actually see due to the fog. You don't know how close Icebolt would be, whether he's going to try and engage as soon as the Punisher goes down. But Panda's looking in like a lot of trouble. She gets taken out for free. The entangling root's too strong.
Oh, too strong indeed as Ultivian looks to try and add another one to the mix, but Azure is low. The grenade is going to be the final one in the coffin to him. As, dear me, Coffee is looking for more. That shield is fully beamed up. But Gondo, he did it last time. He's going to do it again. He's on the flank. He's looking for that pick. Can he get Shadow? Shadow is definitely playing this one well with the Moonfire for scouting ability. He's definitely juking on out. They're going to be the sacrificial lamb here, trying to buy his team some time. It does fall him down, but the job was well done as both Ultivian and Shadow managed to get away.
Yep, good flip by Outlaws right there. Although they lost Panda, they managed to capitalize by trading 2 kills from Crimson. So very, very well done. And looking at Coffee's build, it actually has been Feel the Heat that's been taken as well as To the Limit. So this is going to be full DPS Zarya, just in your face, soaking up as much energy, making sure that she's keeping your teammates alive. But if you ignore her, you really will start to feel the heat because it can add up.
In some kind of weird manner, it kind of feels like a tank support version of Malfurion. I mean, if you're trying to counter like dive like Gremlin, for example, Root, Twilight Dream is fantastic. The same can be applied here. Nubrak is a squishy tank as he jumps on in looking for a fight. You can be minced with that shield at full energy. But he's down to 170 right now. He can't do too much. The wings are spread. The Twilight Silence has been applied. And that is the drive-by with Jizmiz! Oh, the smash isn't going to be good enough this time around. They are sticking in this fight. A lot of damage to Khan. Azure is not even at the fight before this one is about to be said and done. 2 kills too easily. Now, there's a fort in sight as their grand rewards.
I mean, 10 was picked up first by Crimson, but then not long after Outlaws managed to pick it up, but the damage had already been done. Coffee just getting caught out there and really just kind of put his team in a bit of an awkward situation because he had already used his personal shield barrier. We could see him dropping so low. If he had his barrier up, it would have been a different story. He would have soaked up a lot more of that energy and then they'd be able to turn a lot more effectively. But it just didn't quite work out that way. And then we saw Jizmiz as well with the flank. Although the Sulfurous Smash didn't hit, it didn't matter because KVA was there with the backup with the Burrow charge into the Impale, just giving them enough CC to pick up another kill.
Checking in with the stats right now, the progress as we lead into Shrine number 2. 98 stacks of the Voodoo Ritual right now for Lahal as he reaches 21 out of the 40 required for those 5 close to spawn instead of 3. So he's well on his way to unlocking that mid to late game power spike that we all know and love of the old shaky man.
Shaky. I like it. Very, very cute. I'm just having a look at the heroic Skimmy, and then we've got Expulsion Zone being picked up by Zarya. So not looking for the gravity, the Graviton Surge, sorry. Gravity Bomb was what I was going to call it.
Gravity.
Gravity!
Spaceman Zarya.
Oh, I'd like a skin of that.
That'd be good, I know.
It's been a long day. I mean, even the players must be feeling a bit of that exhaustion as well. It's hot, especially for any of the ones in Melbourne, but I mean, it's still good to see that neither of them really lost the thirst to be able to win.
Absolutely, and I'm sure we're going to see some crazy plays to really try and bring us through to the end of this one, despite being tired, hungry, or whatever it might be. Games themselves will provide us with a lot of energy that we can live vicariously through them as KVA jumps in, Ultimate support, looking for the smash once again, but it's not going to land for the second time in a row. Jizmiz doesn't get the insurance policy. Yes, he does, but KVA is scared for a second, stuck in a wall of zombies, away by the expulsion zone. The Molten Core comes across as Jizmiz says, let's re-engage, let's make this fight happen. Hot shots across the ball, a cocktail for good measure for Vandy. It's not going to be enough for any team to find that all-important pick. Saving grace being that Crimson are well on their way to hitting level 13 first.
They are, and with that, they won't waste it. They'll definitely want to utilize it and see if they can force out a fight, use that advantage to the best of their ability. But now, with those heroics on cooldown, this is where it becomes a bit of a stalemate. Only Icebolt has his Blessed Shield back and ready to rock and roll.
Does go for the throat as well as wave of forces there. Once again, KVA Burrow charging in, looking to try and find a pick. He's stuck in a wall right now. Jizmiz is blocked, he's blinded. He's going to get taken down as Leeming falls first of all. Before he falls, he tries to use the hammer to try and get some health back. He cannot find it, and sure, with the swing by Cocktail. Bringing Gondo down to 150 again. This guy just does not seem to die when he does play for Sonya. Just like that, the level 13 talent tier advantage is nullified, and the Mortar Punisher is picked up.
Altivian just had Gondo sitting absolutely on his face. He could not get any orb damage because, as we know, you need the distance for it to be dealing the big, bursty damage numbers that we love to see on Li Ming. That was a very nice dupe there by KVA, using the Burrow Charge to really lure away the Punisher, not taking any stun or any damage. So, nice plays there. And what that means is that they can clear out this Punisher with relatively no contestation coming out. What they have to do, though, is just sacrifice that outer fort.
Absolutely, but now you can see that the fight wants to be forced out here. Ultimates are down, but they've all come back up once again. A beautiful ice block is there, and Insurance is on top of it with the expulsions over. The Twilight Dream comes across, and this time he stuns the Gargantuan Jizmiz. 1 out of 3 this time around. I'll give you that much. Altivian is... Oh! He gets the regrowth. Enough to save his life. No dominance from, no chance to survive. Gondo, an absolute powerhouse here. This is going for the 1v4 with Panda and support saying, please live, sweet child, but it's not going to be enough for the Barbarians go, what? And live. So she does fall to the ground, and just like that, Crimson regain control of the game.
I love that. Just live, sweet child. Probably one of my favorite quotes of 2018 so far. Plus the very, very nice. I'm sure Chad is going to appreciate that for sure. And it's very, very interesting. Every time we say Crimson, they should have the advantage here. It looks like we're cursing them, caster's curse, and they actually lose a fight. However, the re-engage that they did was very, very solid. Whereas in that fight, I thought Outlaws should have had the advantage. So it's really, really interesting to see how this plays out. One thing I've been keeping my eyes on, though, is the stacking coming out from Lahal's Voodoo Ritual. He's already on 134, and it's only been about 11 minutes into this game. So as I said, Lahal, he knows what to prioritize, and he's doing such a good job. So if that 20 is acquired, he's not going to be like, oh, I only need another 20, I only need another 10. No, it's ready to rock and roll. So he's just got that late game in mind.
Yeah, and if you've ever seen Lahal play this hero on this map before, if a team is sieging up for the keep, they tend to be pretty stacked up. They want to commit. Obviously, it brings a lot of resources, far more than any other objective in this game for the most part. And, I've seen teams get, well, let's say, one shot by 5 toes in his face at once. As they bounce around, they gain a lot of extra damage. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for that one. Level 16 on the horizon, as both teams utilize this downtime to pick up the Shaman camp. It's the most influential camp in the game, I'd argue.
Yeah, it really, really is. And the reason why is because the Shaman can keep summoning out the Fallen Dogs or Fallen Hounds again and again. So it's limitless push. But these guys right now, Outlaws, they're ready to combat. And they've got their own Shaman camp ready to siege with. So this could get a little bit interesting now. I mean, what I'd like to see, though, what's going wrong for Crimson is that Ultivian just is getting absolutely destroyed for Gondo. There's not really anything he can do once Gondo decides to get in.
This is it though, level 16 is there. The Cocoon comes out very early on. And they're looking for the kill! I tell you what, this time it went down like a sack of potatoes, falling to the floor, 16 advantage. One of the best in the game. The Cocktail getting insane splash across 3 targets. KVA on the drive-by, coming in with that barrel charge, looking for the damage. And this is Gondo doing what it does best right now in a 1v3 situation, spinning to win. But the fidget spinner is a 2017 fed, and in 2018, that does not get let on through as 2 dive boys come across saying, let's get the 5-man ace, just like that at level 16 advantage, proving to be the magic number. Now Vandy, a keep is surely inside.
Dive Boy's doing some serious work, and I like the way Ultivian played that fight. So I was saying he was having just such a huge issue because Gondo was focusing, tunneling him every time. This time he stayed well out of the fight, just dealt with the Gargantua coming out from Lahal. But more importantly, the fact that Panda was gone, as soon as she popped out of the cocoon, instantly deleted. It helped so much in that fight because immediately then Crimson said, we can't, Outlaw said, we can't fight with this. We don't have a healer. We don't have our shield barrier. Sound barrier.
Shield barrier, sound barrier. I mean, at the end of the day, Vandy, they do the same thing.
They do the same thing.
You know, don't beat yourself up, mate. We are going to bring this game through to a closure. And speaking of closures, it's 18-15 with a 13-5 scoreboard. 1-0 in favour of Crimson right now. So they just need to win this map, and that's it. They are the victors on the day, establishing themselves as a slightly adapted roster. They did switch out Leica for KVA in the off-season, but the core concept itself has stayed the same. Tagged up, looking fresh and professional. And they're definitely proving a point to their sponsors as well as to their manager as well.
Definitely are. And Skimmy, this is our favourite Punisher now, the Arcane one. If you can get this bad boy, you can do some serious work. Although now, if we're looking at it, so both of the outers are up for both teams on this lane, which is where the Punisher will spawn. However, on the side of Crimson, you can already see Jesmes. He's going to use that Molten Core.
The smash coming on through. Power of an Iraq right now. The Cocoon comes out. There's no chance for Sound Barrier, which is influential. It comes out at the very last second. It's Ultivian. As you say, once again, gets jumped upon single-handedly, trying to get him taken out. But the swing of the hammer, Jesmes acting as the healing tank that he can be. Does all the work that he needs to ensure that the team captain does not fall, that he can keep his team, that he can get the dominance across. That he so desperately needs to survive on through. 2 people fall on down. Now, the Arcane Punisher, a free pick for the Crimson lads. And this starts to get scary, Vandy. As this game gets later, those Punishers really start to pack a punch.
It does indeed. I mean, that was some beautiful peeling coming out from Jesme. A very wholesome feeling as well for Ultivian. He's just saying, my team's got my back. It's a very, very nice feeling. And I'm just looking at the side of talents, just having a quick peek. We've seen Icebolt. He's picked up that imposing presence to try and stop the damage coming out from Jesmes as well as KV and also Azure. But it doesn't really seem to be having much of an effect. It's really the Cocoon now that's being the biggest issue for Outlaws to be able to deal with in time.
Yeah, and you can see also on the side of Sonya, Gondo's gone for the focus to take level 4, so looking for that one-person blow-up as opposed to the ability to spin to win and sustain, and also deny the roots. That's another big point you can bring as well. Really does counteract what Malfurion can bring to the table, really amplifying your stickiness potential. But there's the jump in. John Cena has entered the Nexus. Another keep is looking to fall on down, so those Arcane lenses go bow, wow, wow, and spin all crazy around Vandy.
This is John Cena's time now. The Sulfurous Smash does go in. However, it's Gondo who's trying to make a play onto Shadow.
shows once again in that arcane. Oh no, he's just gone. He's just gone like that before I can even get the words out of my mouth. Two people falling on down. 1v1's happening across the board. Zarya taken across by the rest of the team. And sure, saying to Lahal, you got your stacks, but you're not into the late game. Goodbye, Sweet Prince. On the day, Crimson are the ones to win out this series, and they will be your victors for the Preseason Championship. Congratulations to them. This 2018 gets off to a flying start.
Wonderful stuff today here, Skimmy. The games were so close, and Outlaws, they put up such a great fight. I think just a little bit of their draft, I mean, it worked for them in the early a little bit, but then, as you can see, Zarya, she couldn't do much. Like, we saw Coffee, he wasn't getting much of a chance to use the expulsion zone. Like, as soon as someone was in the cocoon, it's like, well, what do? We don't have enough burst to get them out in time. And then we could start to see that's when their team composition started to fall apart.
Yeah, the cracks really started to become exposed, and the draft diversity or the game plan had been built to try and counteract each other. You could definitely tell that Crimson had a plan, and they executed it well.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, that's all it takes on the day to ensure that you are the victors. We have our panel on standby, I'm sure, as well. Kit Fox and GL Phoenix. What did you have to make of that quick, short, and succinct grand final?
Well, we saw Crimson earlier on in the day, Skimmy, that they were very surgically precise in the way that they were executing their tactics. So for them to have a slip up in the early games and then actually come back, and I don't know what's going on there, actually then come back and get back to their roots is what I'm trying to say, back into that early game, that's what really won them that game. The Outlaws played very well, but I think there was a few positioning errors coming out there, especially from Panda a couple times on Lucio, just maybe not accounting for the slipperiness of the hero and getting caught out. And with the being the only heal, after that, it was GG's from there. The Cocoon from KVA was doing work as well. So we saw him pull out the Anubarak early on, and I believe it was, you can hear him in the background. He's having a good one there, Skimmy.
That he is, you know, it's you're playing for prizes here, obviously. You're playing for skin codes at that as well, so those things will definitely be walking away with some skin codes at that. And Geo Phoenix, what did you think of the game as well, man?
Yeah, I just have to echo essentially what Kit was saying, is that they were able to just pick apart that lineup that Outlaws was trying to put together, and you got to give credit at least to Gondo on that Sonya. He was trying to put the team on his back. We saw him going in, almost getting those 1v4 plays that happen, and he was very consistently taking down one of those backline members. Altivian was not very safe on that backline when you had Gondo on that Sonya, just like blasting him from out of the backline. So you have to give a lot of credit to him, and I very much look forward to seeing how that team plays once we get into the season full. But on the day, Crimson did have it a little bit more together, and I think kind of like their overall grand strategy for things, whereas with Outlaws we could see they very much wanted to play the long game. Like when you had the Nazebo, you're kind of succumbing to that kind of play style. You're accepting that you're not going to be dominant throughout the entire game. You're wanting to hit that late game, but I'm just not entirely sold by that play being that style being all that consistent with how the game is currently. But we'll just have to wait and see how things go as the season starts up proper.
Awesome. Do we have a KVA interview here?
Hello, team.
Give me a second.
Thank you.
The man himself.
I'm gonna move him into frame a little bit better so we can see. There we go. Now we can see her.
All right, let's pepper you with some questions. Did you guys have a game plan going into today, or you just wanted to test out your team's strengths?
No, we had no game plan at all. Just
Yeah.
a bit of fun for the preseason, so this
Yeah.
like everyone's not really like going hardcore.
Yeah, and then how flexible were you guys in terms of who was playing what?
Yeah, I guess everyone can play most heroes, but just has their players that can't play certain things. So, yeah, we're fairly flexible.
Yeah. Gio? Okay, you guys got any questions?
Yeah.
Nah. All right, how are you guys going to distribute?
I got one. KVA, like, That's okay. Like with memes, coming and going in the ANZ region, you pretty much got one going for yourself now. Like we know Hacky for his chromie, Stoos for his Greymane. You're becoming known for your Anubarak. How does that title sit with you as ANZ's Anubarak?
It's good. I like being an insect.
Die, insect!
Like
Jeez. How are you guys going to split up the loot? Who gets what? Is it KVA gets it all?
We get loot? What loot?
Yeah, you do.
Skins! Skins and boxes. Mm-hmm.
I think I'll take those ones for the team.
Yeah. Any shout outs, any final remarks?
Shout out to Rich Gang, Nomia, and Outlaws. Thanks, guys.
Good stuff. Looking forward to seeing you guys play in HGC.
There you have it, a live interview. That's production quality. That's what happens when you live with some of the best names, mate.
Easy. Easy.
Beautiful.
Right there.
Beautiful.
So I think that's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are wondering what you can do to get involved with the actual HGC season, that's actually being run by Blizzard and GameStar. So if you haven't done so already, go and follow Blizzard Esports ANZ on Twitter, as well as at GameStar with a H at the end. So if you do want to get involved, you'll be able to get a team together, register. It goes right from the grassroots into a first division, so you don't have to worry about going up against teams like Crimson or Outlaws. If you might not be on that skill level, there is a lower bracket for you guys to get involved with as well. Hope to see you there. But from myself, Kit Fox, GL Phoenix Analyst Vandy, and fellow play-by-play Skimmy, as well as Avexium and Blank. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you've enjoyed the production. That's it from us, and we'll see you for the HGC season.
Sorry guys, before we finish up, don't forget that if you do want to get involved in the community, Unreal Aussies host a Monday night in-house. So if you haven't got a team yet, or if you're wanting to meet people so you can have a team, Unreal Aussies is a place to be, as well as Onyx in the Onyx group. But yeah, sorry, thank you again. Thanks everyone for sticking it out for the, 5 hours we've been going now. These guys have been fantastic, so a massive shout out to Skimmy, Vandy, GL and Kit Fox. Kit Fox in your sexy singlet, melting in your sauna. You've been amazing, mate. Thanks for sticking it out with us. And suppose we'll see you in the Nexus.
So much esports coming at you here at GameStar. You don't want to miss any.
There you go. So they can't hear us
here at GameStar. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to the pleasure of your company next time.
The save! MVP.